Hello, welcome. I'm Greg Leach. This is the Art of Cycling channel, but sort of staying in my regular studio at this point, although I'm going to play around with something here. So, as the previous painting showed you, I've been working on this series of paintings that sort of are based off of paintings from art history. One painting that I've always loved from the National Gallery in DC is Vuillard. I'm now just putting it together. Much later on, I really discovered Vuillard and fell in love with him. And I don't think I ever put it together that this painting that I so enjoy is Vuillard. And it is his painting of Theodore Duret. I've always loved this piece because of the strong V of the author sitting at his desk. But I thought I would play around with that and create a self-portrait of where I paint the cycling art. Because, you know, one, why not? So that's the plan here, is to do something I do very rarely, which is create a self-portrait. Sorry, I'm trying to get the image back up. And this whole idea with these things, you know, are paintings that have stuck in my head. And I've known this painting for easily 50, 60 years, not 60. I'm not that old. Although I was going to the National Gallery 60 years ago. And so, shoot, I've already made a big mistake. Because I want to show, well, I can lie. I think I will. Okay, never mind, solve my problem. Sorry, so this is why I've been doing a lot of just the time-lapse videos, because as I work, I get quiet because I have to think. And then you guys have no idea what I'm doing. Oopsies. Of course, that's going to be a much steeper. You have paper towel here. That's the TV screen. I think I'm probably going to change that as well. And then one of the things, of course, and then there's myself. This is my right hand. Isn't it? It is. Now the original Duret is wearing a suit. And looking right at the camera, or the artist looking right at Vuillard. But nose isn't that long. So and what I also enjoy is that he has his dog sitting with him, or his cat in that case. Sorry, I don't think I'm going to make this my dog. So now that I'm completely confused, I'm going to switch so you don't have to listen to me struggle to figure out what I'm doing. Sorry, again, there we go again. Being silent. So, like I say, I'm going to stop and switch to time lapse so that you don't have to listen to my long pauses. But so this is, how I start. I've got a yellow oil stick to get a rough idea of how things are going to lay out. I already know that I got a lot of problems, so I want to think about it. And then I'll start working with other colors to correct the drawing. And we'll move on from there. So in reality, I have a TV screen on an old roll-top desk, and I paint underneath of that, so I'm looking right, like directly, not this split that I've got. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to portray that as I want, so I've got to think about how I'm going to solve that. I do like that in the painting, Duret has a cat on his lap, and I do have one of my previous videos on the Tour de France. On the side it has Clio edition, and you'll see one of my dogs laying on my lap as I work on the painting, the watercolors. So if you want to go dig back through the archives on my YouTube channel, you can find those. But so I've got to figure out how I'm going to make that work. Does that make sense? And so we'll see how I play around with this. I think part of the problem is the scale is too big, which is often a problem with my works. In fact, I'm notorious for designing shows that are 2 inches too big for the stage they go on. So this is the painting I'm referring to. And I've loved this painting, like I say, for many, many years. It hangs in the National Gallery in DC. And that's my source. And you can see how little he is in the plane and how big I have him over here. So, yeah, let's pause this, switch to time lapse, and see how we get there. All right, so we're moving on. Had a little time to think about it. I feel like I'm too slouched in here. So I'm thinking what's needed is, sorry, trying to find the cool white oil stick. There's some, oh, there it is. Got to get rid of my little leftover pieces. So I'm thinking if this iron comes down more like this, and then we get the bend coming back up, then I realize this is getting very confusing now.
Which is Greg?
Yo.
Do you think it's safe to let Cleo out?
Yeah.
Because if Pippin goes marching down this road, he will not get in the car with anybody. So Cleo will run up and go, "Oh, what is it?"
Well, she's in now, so shut the door.
Yeah, no, she just came in.
So shut the door.
We're on.
Sorry about the interruption there. Worrying about the dog. So that would put this hand over here, which feels better. And up into this. So yeah, I think that'll work. just because I don't want to get too confused here. Damn it, I did it again. Picked up the green instead of the blue. That might be a problem later. We'll see. And then if this line were more vertical, yeah, I think that might do it. Now I've lost, oh, there it is. I love standing on my head to paint. So I have discovered these R and F pigment sticks, as they're called. They are far more opaque, so you can see how this is bleeding up through. And now with the addition of the RF, I don't know if you heard that scraping sound, but that's the dried paint stick. I can still hear a little bit of it. And the problem with it scraping like that is it pulls back the paint I've already put in. So, I think all my jean shirts have fallen apart, but I do like to wear them. Ending up in the classic, the nickname, the Canadian tuxedo. So while you can't see my pants, I thought that's what I would make this. Now you can see that green that I inadvertently picked up sneaking into the image. I guess we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. So, as I think this thing through, I'm not going to make you all listen to my long silent pauses. So I'll switch this to time lapse in just a moment. Now, that early interruption wasn't really an interruption, but my wife Bridget calling to me. So many, many years ago, in the previous millennia, I built a studio right behind my house, and that's where I paint. So she was calling out the back door of the house, letting me know, or asking my concerns about our little dog, her pride and joy. Being outside and following the bigger dog around. And because I had to put in a ramp, I don't have a closed gate. So she can, the little dog, and my wife for that matter, go out that way and go play in traffic. I don't think Bridget would go play in traffic. And the problem with the RFs is if you get the skin, the paper off of them, they get, you end up with the paint stick on your fingers too, and that makes them a little difficult to hold on to. I think also will help with this slouching look. So change the chair position a little bit. So I'm down to just almost finger painting now with the end of this color, see? And also reducing my control. And the other thing is the texture of the floor painting is starting to interfere with my line. Some of that's okay. Now I'll probably come back and lighten that up some more. But there's going to be a lot of white in this. Now that I'm stuck with that green for a while. Bah, humbug. All right, so I'm going to pause this, open up a couple more whites. So this is what the RF pigments look like, or come packaged as. I got these from Dick Blick. Pretty packaging. However, tough to open on the fly. There we go. And it comes a little bit of plastic in the rest of this paper. Now, if I made the mistake of pulling that paper away earlier, and that caused problems. And then the oil stick is like this, wrapped in plastic with a heavier cardboard edge. So it's not as glamorously packaged, but the cardboard makes it a little easier to control. So, you know, apples and oranges. All right, so I'm going to pause this now, and we'll go back into a time lapse. Well, as I do these final steps here, well, not final because I'm not going to finish the painting in this video, but do come back and check it out for the next. And to that point, if you subscribe and obviously give a thumb up and subscribe, and you'll find out when I post the next video working on this painting. It may take 2 more videos to finish it, but I hope you like what you're seeing and are interested enough to see this come to fruition.